Hello, my name is David and welcome back to my channel. Today we have an announcement for you. I'm very excited about this announcement. In June of last year, one of my absolute favorite events was operated for the first time. It was created by Tori from Hufflepuff Discovery and Jennifer Brooks, and it took place in the month of June, and it was called Ancientsathon. And the idea behind this is to read works that were written prior to the year 1700. A lot of emphasis gets placed on works really 1800 and beyond, pretty much Victorian era on forward, tend to get the most broadcast widely across BookTube. And so I deeply appreciated having a month where the encouragement was to read books that were older. And it had a very simple format. It had, I think, 5 prompts that you could freely choose works to read in and, read whatever you wanted that fit those. And then it had a group kind of buddy read that you could do, which was Pilgrim's Progress by John Bunyan. And it was a lot of fun. I didn't participate on the group read because I had read it not too long ago and didn't feel a need to reread it, but I did get some excellent reading, such as a reread of Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. I reread Beowulf. I got to read the Lays of Marie de France for the first time as an encouragement out of that, and just had an overall wonderful time. And so when Tori asked me back in January if I'd be interested in helping co-host this year, I immediately said yes, and it essentially was a dream come true on BookTube, because it was one of my absolute favorite things about all of last year. And so this year we have come up with 6 prompts, and these are very loose prompts. They're pretty wide open. They aren't set to any period. A challenge that you could take upon yourself is try to read a text out of different periods. So, for me, I tend to drift towards the medieval, but that's not necessarily where I need to stay. Another encouragement might be to read non-European and non-American authors, and to try to expand into Persian writings, to Chinese and Japanese writings, early Russian writings. There's a whole bunch of them out there. Indian writings. I'm sure there's plenty of African, Egyptian writings out there. I mean, Epic of Gilgamesh certainly was in that area. But yeah, the encouragement is simply to try to get you to read. And even if you read just one text over the course of the month, you've been successful in participating. And I'm so excited about this. So the 6 prompts that we have. Prompt 1 is poetry. Read a work of poetry. It could be a short piece of poetry. It could be a longer piece of poetry. However you want to determine that. A lot of works around that time, even longer ones that are classics, were written in poetic forms, such as the Canterbury Tales by Geoffrey Chaucer. You've got The Faerie Queene by Edmund Spenser. You've got Beowulf. You've got Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. You've got the Iliad, the Odyssey, the Aeneid, the Metamorphoses. I mean, lots and lots of poetic works that you could easily jump in on, capitalize on those filling that prompt. The second one is to read a play. And again, you could tie this in with poetry. If you, for instance, read William Shakespeare, a lot of his stuff was written in iambic pentameter and has a poetic quality to it. So you could easily tie the two together. And that's perfectly acceptable for this. You could read, there's a lot of plays from ancient Roman Greece. There's plays from medieval times, of course, the everyman religious plays. You've got William Shakespeare, who very firmly falls into that camp. The third prompt is to read a work of nonfiction. So not a modern work of nonfiction, but a work of nonfiction from the time. there's lots and lots and lots to choose from. Again, it's very, very open. You could even choose to read a piece of one of the books of the Bible if you so chose. Depending on how you view the Bible, may or may not determine whether you view it as nonfiction. Those types of things certainly can qualify. The fourth prompt, which can easily partner with any of these, is to read a work that's over 300 pages. There's a lot of shorter works to be found. There's a lot of longer works to be found. And so one encouragement is to read something over 300 pages. 300 is not a massive number. There are some people that read 300 pages before breakfast, and others where it might take the entire month to get through 300 pages, depending on the text that you're reading. And all of those are okay. The fifth prompt is to read something that you've been putting off reading for far too long. Basically, that work of literature that you've always said, someday I'm going to get around to reading this. And for a lot of people, it wouldn't qualify for this, but that would be a book like War and Peace, which a lot of folks have read this year for the first time and really, really enjoyed it. And because of its size, it was always that, well, someday I should read this, but not today, because I've got, all of these other things to read. And so, get off your rear, stop saying that you're going to have this on a bucket list and just pick it up and read it. What's the worst that could happen, right? The worst thing that could happen is you didn't enjoy it. So what? You move on, right? And then the last prompt is to read something that's got religious themes in it, religious figures, whatever the case may be, a religious text, however you want to interpret that. That could be mythology, Greek and Roman mythology. It could be Norse mythology. It could be Christian. However you want to interpret that. It could be as simple as, well, in the Iliad and the Odyssey, there's a lot of involvement from the pantheon of the gods, so that qualifies as a religious text. And all of a sudden you've got something over 300 pages that is written in poetry. That also is probably something that's been on your TBR for far too long that you need to read, and also has religious text in it. And all of a sudden you've got 4 out of the 6 knocked out with one book. And that's how easy it can be to participate. And then the group read that we have here is one that I'm actually delighted to be reading. I had tossed some suggestions out, and I was happy that one of mine stuck. And that is The Book of the City of Ladies by Christine de Pazan. This is a Penguin classic here. And this says, it was this misogynist consensus. Oh, well, I should probably start with the quote here. Philosophers, poets, and orators, too numerous to mention, all that seem to speak with one voice and are unanimous in their view that female nature is wholly given up to vice. It was this misogynist consensus that Christine de Pizan, France's first professional woman of letters, confronted head-on in the City of Ladies. Here, with the help of reason, rectitude, and justice, Christine constructs an allegorical city in which to defend womankind, using examples of female virtue and achievement both from the past and her own day as the stones with which to build the city's walls and towers. A key text in the history of feminism, the City of Ladies not only provides powerful positive images of women, ranging from warriors, inventors, and scholars to prophetesses, artists, and saints, but also offers fascinating insight into the debates and controversies about the position of women in medieval culture. So, if that sounds like something you're interested in, even if all you do is read this with us, you've participated in Ancientsathon. We're all still working through our formal TBRs. You can go check out Tori and Jennifer's video. The announcement video should have all gone up around the same time. So you should be able to go check all of those out right now. And to give you an idea of a couple of the books I'm kicking around for my potential TBR, I'm considering Dr. Faustus by Christopher Marlowe. I'm strongly considering a reread of Fairy Queen because I wanted to read the entire Fairy Queen this year. And so knocking out book 1, I think, might be something I would want to do. Piers Plowman is one that I've wanted to read for ages but have not gotten around to. I've got some plays here. Agamemnon, the Libation Bearers, and Eumenides by Aeschylus. Don't know how you say his name. But this is a nice Penguin classic that I picked up. And, I would... The Oresteia, the only trilogy in Greek drama that survives from antiquity. Sounds like it'd be a really enjoyable thing. We've got a philosophical text here for nonfiction, potentially. Last Days of Socrates by Plato. Another one that I've been putting off far too long, that I've wanted to read for ages. And it is over 300 pages. Starting, at least, The Tale of the Genji. Because this is one I wanted to read this year. And so, what better time to at least start? I probably won't finish the 1,000-page book in the month of June, but to get a good chunk of it out of the way, get at least 300 pages into it, I think that would be a good task, a good goal to set for myself for this. So, I'll try to have my own formal TBR as I firm up what I'm going to be reading for sure. Sometime over the weekend, maybe, potentially early next week at the latest, so that you can maybe get some ideas. I'm also looking at trying to read more Chinese and Japanese literature from the period that would fit these prompts. I've gotten a couple of great recommendations that I'm looking into from Jack at the Rambling Raconteur. And if you have any recommendations along that line, please let me know, because I would love to have this entire TBR, apart from Christine de Pizan, be all non-European, just to broaden my reading horizons a little bit. So let me know. I would love to hear some of your suggestions. So I'm guessing my announcement video is probably the longest because I tend to ramble. You know that by now if you've been watching for a while. If you're new here, welcome. This is what you get. I turn on the camera, I just start talking, we have a conversation. I turn off the camera, and I hope that you comment back, because I'd love to hear from you and to respond back to you. I hope all of you will join me in June for Ancientsathon, because I think it's going to be a lot of fun and a good encouragement to try to read things that are some of the pillars on which more recent works stand upon. That without some of these, we wouldn't have some of the books that we have today that we all know and love really well. So, yeah. I hope you'll join us for Ancientsathon. Thank you.